Alright, I'm out here in the woods, back up in on the edge of this mountain here. I'm probably about a third away to the top. It has this nice little bench that runs down through. You can see it's all pretty thick and drops down in there pretty good. So what we got going on here is this is an old logging road. It's like an ancient one, just off over this way where I'm pointing now. Very first thought when I come up here, I'm like, this is a nice opening, you know, I want to be in here. And I've looked at this place a million times and you get to hunt it, and can never figure out exactly what to do, but I think I got it all figured out, hopefully. What we got going on here is I don't want to be set up over here. I've walked through that opening, I've checked it out. There's a trail that goes through the middle of it, but there isn't a whole lot of other activity through there other than the trail, so they're just running through. And that's great for does and some yearling bucks, you know, and that, but come rut time, them big boys, that's not how they're going to travel this. So this is what I'm thinking is going to happen. Come around over to this side, got this little opening here, and then we're going to have this trail over here. This is the old logging road over here. I'm guessing maybe where I'm walking was a piece of logging road, but you can see it drops right down in. And what's happening here is simple. This logging road goes up to the side right here. You got that opening over here. These deer are funneling right through the middle of this thing. Not completely, but there's a good bit of activity going on here. Not just a main trail, not just two main trails or even three. There's like 4 or 5 trails that crisscross through this little, I don't know if you can see what I'm saying, because I mean I'm in a big woods, so it's not as easy to see, but it's kind of open, and it's kind of open, kind of like a donut. Well, half, 3/4 of a donut, 2/3 of a donut. And what's happening is, we got, this is the center, and it's all nice and thick, and they're going up this hillside, because what's happening is here's that old logging trail, you can see it. And it comes right down in the bottom, and it actually splits off, and you can see where the seep comes down in, and it drops down into a nice valley down there. They're coming up here, they're coming up over this way, they're coming through here, they're coming back this way, they're funneling up this way. When they're hitting this, they're cutting back up this way, up the mountain. There's a nice little flat in there. Yeah, or they're cutting across that middle, or they're going right up the road. I think what's going to happen is any of the big bucks, they're going to come down through this stuff over here. They're going to sit right at night. I don't know, what I know and what I've seen over the years, they're going to come right down this little flat spot right at the base of this hill, and they're going to cut right through the middle of this stuff, and they're not going to go through this opening. They're either going to cut around the back side of it, or they're going to cut down through this way, or if they're coming this way, reverse. And that's what I think is going to happen. Problem with this spot is it's not going to be any good for the evening. It's going to be a real hard hunt in the evening because of winds, but in the morning it's going to be an excellent spot. Because what's happening, and what I've decided to show you real quick, is I know this is right on top of where they booger up through here, but I'm going to get in this tree right there. Now I'm hunting with the longbow. I want them close. I'll have a nice shot here, catch them here. I can shoot, you know, right around in here in various spots. And there's definitely going to be a scrape right over in there, I guarantee it. If I don't go ahead and put a mock one in anyhow, that's within 20 yards. It's actually about 17. So we're looking real good here. So what I think is going to do, how this is going to work, is where I'm pointing now is north. Now this wind down here is going to come out of the westerlies, and it's going to come north, but it's going to do a funny thing here, because this hillside, it looks like it's laying this way here, but it really is sitting more on an angle like this. So what happens is them winds come in from this direction, and instead of cutting straight at me, they're going to hit this hillside, and they're going to funnel right down throughout this whole valley. And in the evenings, that's a problem, because they bed buck up over in here. Not to mention, in the evenings, the thermals in here would be horrible, because you're going to have is that cold air, or the air cools. Even though the deer would be coming from in here and behind, by the time they get in front of me, they would smell me. Actually, before they even got there, they'd smell me up in here, because that cooler air is going to roll down off that mountaintop over there, and it's going to push all the scent down into here, regardless unless the wind's doing like 80 mile an hour or something. So this is a morning spot, and I have great access. This old logging trail, you can't even tell where it dumps out, but there is a use trail up top that dumps out on. I can walk in the morning, and they'll be coming from the fields, which are all this way, like, you know, half a mile away or whatever. So I think my experience tells me that these bucks are going to come from these fields in the morning. They're going to work up this edge right here, and they might cut off over this way and might not be able to get a shot, but if not, they're going to dump right out here to where they're going to dump up to where that little flat I showed you I said they would come down, or they're going to dump right up in through here. And you might even catch some if they come from off of this way, dump up this way, but I think even if they come up in here, I still think they're going to work up into this finger. I mean, it's just how they're going to roll it here. It's like, I don't know, they have tendencies, and they like them big boys. They stick into some cover, even in cover. So I guess that's the best way to put it. I've never really thought about it like that, but in cover. So but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my saddle fire got it on. I'm going to get my sticks out and get rolled up, and I'm going to get up in this tree and check it out. It's starting to rain pretty good, so I don't think I'm going to go any farther than this spot, but I think this has got a good chance to be a nice opening spot, unless the wind's doing something really screwy. But even if it's coming like out of the east back here, I'm still good for in the morning. So it's not going to be much of an evening spot, but it looks pretty thick in here right now. I know, I mean, it is pretty thick, but it'll open up a lot. I mean, I might come in here and hunt it on an early morning, you know, first morning maybe, because I'm not entirely too far from camp, but I don't know. I'm looking at this more as a rut spot, because them bucks are going to cruise this topography right here. I mean, it's just a spot. It's not that necessarily is a pinch point and pinches them down, but there is a flatter piece of land on this hillside that has these old trails, which they love, and there's a base when it rises back up, and they love to follow that stuff. They'll even, you know, they'll come at the top or at the bottom of it. So, but, all right, I'm going to get up in this tree. Once I get up there, I'll show you what I got going on. All right.